reading chapter 5 of Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. I'm hanging out with my friend Chip. Right now you can't see him. He's literally sitting on my legs in the least comfortable position possible, but that's okay. So I'm going to read to him. And we're going to hang, all right? All right, so chapter 5 is Moosk, and that's a moosk. Retreat to a private island where you can find the rest you need, nesting in a cloud high above the cares of the world. Moosk envelops you in its caress and takes you on a journey into a land of dreams. Now for the story to begin. All right. Okay, said Matt, loading a backpack with EMF readers. We need to put these all along the bright and shining path. Do you really think they'll record anything? Sure they will, Matt said. Look at the size of the lightning grid. He pointed at the ceiling. 12 feet above their heads was a massive crisscrossed network of beams, pipes, wires, and huge HVAC ducts. Everything was painted the same off-white color as the ceiling to help camouflage the infrastructure. Why do you want to detect the lightning grid? Amy asked. I don't, Matt said, but the store has 680 fill lights and another 200 spotlights to hit accents, so it's generating most of the electromagnetic activity in the building, which means that's what the meters are going to pick up. He grabbed a meter and waved it in the air like incense. 2 milligauss, he said. That's what it'll be reading all along, is my guess. Then why bother putting out the meters? Matt picked up a flip camera, slung a backpack over his shoulder, and handed Amy a store map and a pencil. Just mark down every place I leave one, he said. Trinity will kill me if I lose any. But if they're not showing anything except the lightning grid, Amy asked, then why are you putting them out? She followed Matt down the bright and shining path deeper into bedrooms. Because that's Trinity's plan. And you're super in love with her? She said. Matt didn't answer. Amy knew the kind of effect Trinity had on male floor partners. All she had to do was act like a super cute Japanese schoolgirl, and she could recruit an entire army of ghost hunters. Matt placed the first unit on a Sylvian bedside table. Jason Hawes, he said, my favorite Roto-Rooter employee. Amy looked at him. I like to name the readers after TV ghost hunters, he explained. Write them on the map, okay? They walked along the bright and shining path, leaving bedrooms and weaving through bathrooms and wardrobes. Matt stopped every 75 feet to place another meter atop a Finnebrum chest of drawers inside a Leary Pip, ultra-narrow single-door wardrobe on top of a membership kiosk outside Children's. He named each one of them. Lorraine Warren, Chicken Farmer, Ryan Buell, Drama Queen, Josh Gates, Adventure Whore. What have you got against these people? Amy asked. They jump to conclusions. They use the word energy without actually knowing what it means. They pretend to understand physics when they clearly don't even know how their own equipment works. They call themselves scientists but beat up the scientific method and drag it through the mud. And worst of all, they're terrible at being on TV. Whereas you guys would be awesome? Obviously, Matt said. Trinity has camera presence to burn. She's funny, she's got a great look, she's comfortable around tools, and she can solder a circuit, which is totally hot. Even if we don't get any apparitions on tape, we're still going to knock this out of the park. We'll chart the EMF spikes and drops, shoot in a bunch of different formats like night vision and infrared, record some suggestive electro voice phenomenon, use remote temperature probes to check cold spots, deploy motion detectors, and try to record any ultrasound we can find. When we're done, we'll have a buttload of awesome footage of the spookiest place on earth, which is this store, after hours right now. Then I edit the hell out of it, and ghost footage or no ghost footage, we're going to have a kick-ass reel. It suddenly dawned on Amy. You don't believe in ghosts, she said, at all. Matt powered up his camera. I believe a ghost is a subjective experience. It doesn't have an objective reality. It exists solely in the perception of the people who see it, meaning ghosts aren't real. That's not what I said. Come on, let's roll tape. It's like outtakes from Child's Play in here. They had arrived in Children's, and Amy watched as Matt directed the camera at stuffed animals stacked in big impulse bins like dead bodies, shelves of vacant-eyed dolls staring idiotically off into the distance. Let me read. Sorry. Circus animal sheets stretched across never-used beds, kids' bedrooms, abandoned in a haunted city. Matt wasn't dumb. After watching every season of every ghost hunting show ever created, he knew exactly how to give an audience what it wanted. Creepy dolls, spooky rooms, and the eerie framing of ambiguous shadows. You told Trinity you witnessed a ghost firsthand, a full-body apparition. That's what she said. I saw something my brain perceived to be a ghost, Matt said. But the mind is a complicated place. Temporal lobe seizures, sleep paralysis, pareidolia. It could have been anything. Except the soul of a dead person searching for the light. Exactly. They took the shortcut over to Storage Solutions, Matt stopping to lie on the floor and frame a run cape looming over him. Crawling up on top of a qualtaw and getting an overhead shot of the silent ranks of furniture. He panned along a plexiglass display case. Inside, a mechanical arm dumbly opened and closed the door of a clept cabinet, over and over to demonstrate the strength and durability of Orsk hinges. Trinity thinks ghosts are real, Amy said, but your whole ghost thing is just a ploy to get into her pants. Why do you care whether Trinity and I are hooking up, Matt asked. Do you see me grilling you about your sex life? Because it's further proof that guys are dogs, Amy said. This obviously means a lot to Trinity, and you're pretending you believe in it to trick her into sleeping with you. That's some deep craziness. Did you make up the story about the prison, too? The Cuyahoga Panopticon was a real place, Matt said. You've never heard of it? I don't have a strong grasp of Ohio's extraordinary history. It was a big deal back in the 19th century. The warden, Josiah Worth, was a total maniac. He believed that non-stop surveillance would cure criminals. The prison was round, with a guardhouse in the center, so that the prisoners, he called them penitents, never knew if they were being watched. Zero privacy. It was called the Panopticon. Underneath the cells were 3 sub-basements where the penitents worked. Giant labyrinths full of mindless tasks designed to rewire their brains. He shrugged. Just like Orsk. Don't let Basil hear you say that. Chip. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Don't let Basil hear you say that. But it's true, Matt protested. Orsk is all about scripted disorientation. The store wants you to surrender to a program shopping experience. The Cuyahoga Panopticon was the same thing. The warden believed he could cure a criminal brain using forced labor, mindless repetition, and total surveillance. This was back when people believed that architecture could be designed to generate a psychological effect. Matt led Amy past a row of gleaming white Helvetica snakes, and they took the shortcut to wardrobes. They emerged to find themselves standing in front of a plexiglass display case. Inside, a mechanical arm dumbly opened and closed the door of the eclipsed media cabinet over and over to demonstrate the strength and durability of Orsk hinges. Somehow they'd traveled in a circle. Weren't you paying attention to where we were going? Amy asked. I was monologuing, Matt said. But this basically proves my point. If you lose your focus in the store for even a moment, you're lost. Get distracted, and the next thing you know, you're dropping $800 on a fiberboard run cake. They returned to the bright and shining path and followed the arrows that would lead them back to kitchens, dining rooms, and ultimately bedrooms. You'd think I'd have this place figured out by now, Matt said. Sure, Amy said dryly. Sounds like you've got your whole life figured out. Not my life, Matt said. Just my escape from Ohio plan. Ghost Bomb is going to be huge. Me and Trinity will live happily ever, and the next time you're channel surfing on Bravo, you'll... Damn it! Both Matt and Amy stopped. They had arrived in a sea of birch, black, and white tabletops, desks, and rolling swivel chairs. Somehow they'd walked backward into home office. See what I mean? Matt said. Our great lord and master, Tom Larson, built his stores to induce the Gruen transfer. A sense of confusion and geographic despair that keeps you completely disoriented. Like IKEA or Crate and Barrel. Heck, I got lost in a Sam's Club last week. I get it, Amy said. You've made your point. Matt's cell phone rang, and he checked the display. Trinity, he said. He answered the phone, agreed to meet her back at the Mosk, and hung up. They're waiting for us. Amy thought only a few minutes had passed, but when she checked her watch, she realized nearly half an hour had gone by. Basil would be wondering what had happened. They reversed course on the bright and shining path, for a third time heading back towards kitchen and dining rooms. I need to get Ruth Ann and head back to the break area, Amy said. What do you want me to tell Basil? What do you mean? When he hears you guys sneaked into the store, he's going to be pissed. Matt didn't answer. He was staring through his camera viewfinder, bewildered. They rounded the corner into what should have been kitchens and found themselves once again facing home office. Wait, what just happened? Amy asked. Matt shook his head. This doesn't make any sense. You walked in another circle. Look at the camera. Amy looked at Matt, pointed the lens down the bright and shining path into home office. The screen was showing kitchens. That's the footage from earlier, Amy said. No, Matt said, panning the camera. Every time he moved, the view of kitchens moved with him. He zoomed forward until the screen was filled with a grad grind cabinet system. He got so close that Amy could read this SKU and sale price. But in front of the lens, there in reality was only empty air. It's a problem with the memory card, Amy said. Matt ejected the card and held it between his fingers like a magician revealing the one you picked. It's not a problem with the card. I refuse to accept this, Amy said. Accept it or not, Matt said. We are both experiencing it, so we have 3 choices. Either what's in front of us is really is kitchens, but we think it's home office and the camera is right. Or what's in front of us is home office, but for some reason the camera is showing us kitchens, so the camera is wrong. What's the third choice? We're both losing our minds. This is impossible, Amy said, feeling helpless. It's very possible, Matt said. Remember what I told you about EM fields? The really strong ones mess with your brain. Maybe it's the lighting grid, maybe it's power lines, maybe there's a giant geomagnetic field under the building. If it's affecting our brains, Amy said, then why is it also affecting your camera? Maybe it's not, Matt said. Maybe the camera is fine and both of us are hallucinating that it's not. Eventually they settled on a new tactic. This time they would navigate using what was on the screen, ignoring the reality of their surroundings. Matt panned the camera until the tiny screen showed them the direction they wanted to go, then he held it up in front of them. They followed the path on the screen, ignoring what was actually around them. The split perception made Amy feel like she was going to be sick. I don't want to go crazy, she said. We're not going crazy, Matt said. We're experiencing some rather extreme effects of electromagnetic fields on the human brain. They followed the camera, and the route took them in a crazy looping circle through reality. On the screen, they were walking through storage solutions. In real life, they were colliding with wastebaskets and file cabinets in home office, then climbing over ottomans and end tables in living rooms. What happens if we make it back to the Moosk, but we don't see Ruth Ann and Trinity? Amy asked. What happens if they're on the screen, but not in real life? One freaky crisis at a time, Matt said. To your left, watch out. He pushed Amy's head down, and she narrowly missed, braining herself on the edge of a display shelf. They crawled over a Potemkin armchair and then out the other side of the room display. On the camera's screen, they were taking a hard right-hand turn. That's sending us back the way we came, Amy said. Don't panic, Matt advised. Just follow the camera. Amy placed one hand on Matt's shoulder and kept going, both of them walking faster now. Their breathing was shallow and Matt was sweating through his hoodie. They rounded the last corner, and in one disorienting blur, the image on screen and the image in front of them blended together as one. Trinity and Ruth Ann were sitting on a Moosk, waiting. Where were you guys? Trinity asked. Making out? Amy sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the sides of her head, trying to steady her thoughts. I don't even know how to explain it, she said. We were lost. We were absolutely, completely disoriented. That's a tiny bit of an exaggeration, Matt said. I got us back here, didn't I? Ruth Ann knelt beside Amy, concerned. You do look little peaky. What happened? Amy recounted everything she and Matt had just experienced, explaining how they'd used the viewfinder to guide their way back to bedrooms. As the story progressed, Trinity grew more and more excited. Sounds like paranormal activity to me, she said. What else could it be? There's no rational explanation. There are plenty of rational explanations, Matt said. Rational schmational. I want to try it, Trinity said. Get the camera and let's go to kitchen, see if we can make it happen again. She grabbed Matt's hand and pulled him down the bright and shining path. He scarcely had time to snag a gear bag. Amy turned to Ruth Ann. We need to get back to the break room. Basil will be waiting for us. Of course, Ruth Ann said, wrapping an arm around Amy's waist and helping her off the bed. Come on, hon. Maybe you just need something from the vending machine. Some pretzels to get your blood sugar back up. Together they headed into wardrobes, and the great showroom silence settled over them like a shroud. Amy told herself she wasn't scared anymore, but as they walked along the path, she was increasingly certain they were lost again. She picked up her pace, panic crawling up her spine, and then a massive wave of relief washed over her when at last, up ahead, she finally saw the bright-colored bunks of children. Even then, she wouldn't allow herself to relax until she and Ruth Ann were back in the break area, all four walls clearly visible and close enough to touch. I'm glad that's over, Ruth Ann said quietly. Me too. And according to Basil's schedule, we get a 15-minute break before starting the next patrol. Amy's heart sank. That is the end of chapter 5. So we're starting to see some paranormal activity going on. Definitely very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next. Yeah, so join me for chapter 6 next time. Thanks. Bye.